The frontier of the future, a land of visionaries, creators and pioneers, a continent of unstoppable energy where innovation meets tradition, where voices rise, loud and fearless.
I am in Africa.
This is the heartbeat of a billion people, diverse, bold, united by a single purpose to tell our own stories in our own way. No borders, no barriers, no filters. A new era of African storytelling is here. From every corner of the continent, from the bustling cities to the quiet villages, we tell Africa's story by Africans for the world. This is the land of a rising Africa, where Africa speaks and the world listens. This is why today we bring you POA, Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Pulse of Africa's live stream of the African Social Media Influencer Summit, coming to you from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. For 2 days, May 7 and 8, 2026, the diplomatic capital of Africa, Addis Ababa, has become the stage for a brilliant gathering of the continent's most influential digital voices. From William Last of Botswana to Cyril Brainer of Tanzania, Tenge of Uganda, Brain Jotter of Nigeria, Sarah Mason of Ivory Coast, Nova Smith of Guinea, and many more. These creative powerhouses are united in Addis Ababa with one shared mission: to reshape the narratives of Africa. Today marks the second and final day of the summit, and the most important panel discussions are set to unfold. The conversations will tackle critical issues such as Africa's digital infrastructure, the challenges and opportunities of content creation, and the vital role of social media influencers in advancing peace, development, and transformation across the continent. Stay connected with Pulse of Africa, and remember to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories and live coverage. A very good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As well.
Yeah. So, African Social Media Influencer Summit, ASMIS 2026, has started yesterday, has been kicked off yesterday. And of course, the African social media influencers have paid a quick visit to the most iconic places in Addis Ababa, starting from Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute to Arada Park. And let us have a quick recap of the iconic places they visited and the impressions they reflected and shared. So, Gamach, if I begin with you, African social media influencers have visited Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, and we do know that Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute was established in 2020, and it was the first in Africa when it was established. And now Ethiopia has also planned to, build artificial intelligence university and so on. So influencers visited Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, and they also shared their impression during the visit. What can we say about their visit?
We can say a lot about their visit. It's very much relevant because these days the intervention of AI in content creation has become paramount, and especially it gives content creators opportunities to improve their content creation process And of course, it also has changed the way these contents are consumed by possible viewers, listeners, readers, etc., consumers of social media outcomes or products, generally, just the contents. So when they visited the Artificial Intelligence Institute yesterday in Addis Ababa, I believe they just came up with, a variety of opportunities that AI can give them as content creators. And of course, artificial intelligence is something that, of course, can be utilized, in every aspect of our lives, as we always say. And one of them is, of course, content creation. And as has always been said, of course, we cannot avoid using artificial intelligence these days. It has become part and parcel of everything that we do. And if we want to live without it, then we just pay the repercussion. I think artificial intelligence is, something that we need to embrace, and for that we need to be moving as fast as possible. And if you look at the global scenario with regard to artificial intelligence, we understand that nations are investing in billions, and globally maybe the investment could reach billions,
trillions of dollars,
trillions of dollars, exactly. So this tells you that Africa as a continent need to catch up with the rest of the world, especially the advanced world, and make content creation be supported by AI in general. Well, I hope later also we'll be talking about both the opportunities and the challenges of AI in content creation.
Yeah, definitely that will be subject of discussion today. Content creation, the challenge and the opportunities with content creation, in particular in terms of African social media influencers. Noel, if I come to you, like I said before, African social media influencers have paid visit to Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, and this is a big institute built at the very center of the city of Addis Ababa. And African social media influencers visited this iconic place, and of course Ethiopia has planned to also build artificial intelligence university, and that university sought to bring students, scholars from different parts of Africa through scholarship terms and others. So we have seen a good momentum in terms of artificial intelligence in this country, and we do remember that a few weeks ago the African Union has appointed Ethiopian Prime Minister His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed as artificial intelligence and digital health champion. Isn't it encouraging?
Indeed, it's so amazing, opportunity for the content creators from all over Africa coming to Addis Ababa and visiting the AI Institute in Addis Ababa. It's really a golden opportunity for them, getting in touch with the first artificial intelligence institute in Africa. I'm very sure they have learned a lot, and they are so appreciative, in seeing such a facility. And artificial intelligence, play a crucial role in content creation, whereby they can use artificial intelligence in generating content, and as well in translation and interpretation. With the help of artificial intelligence, they can be able, to generate content in different African languages. You can be a content creator from Arabic background, but you can be able to generate content in Amharic, in French, and in other local African languages as well. So artificial intelligence play a crucial role in content creation. With the modern era of artificial intelligence, you can as well generate content that can be monetized, can generate income. So AI is really crucial, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
African social media influencers visited Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute. I think they're going to be encouraged and they're going to be impressed. And of course, they shared their impression regarding Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, the startups, the entrepreneurship, and the many stuffs that have been underway inside Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute. You know, the thing is, still many countries of Africa do not have national strategy toward artificial intelligence. But, you know, artificial intelligence is not a distant future, it is with us. And like my colleague Gameches and Noel raised, we need to embrace artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence for agriculture, you know, we can raise and we can increase the productivity of agricultural products through the application of artificial intelligence, and we can also make health sector effective, and we can also make the public sectors very much productive through proper and effective utilization of artificial intelligence. You know, as a journalist of this country, I also get the opportunity to visit Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, and I was very much impressed by what the youth people are doing there inside Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute. And of course, Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute has become a center for visitors. I mean, different ambassadors, for example, United States ambassador to Ethiopia, Ervin Masinga, and Russian ambassador to Ethiopia, and Indian ambassador to Ethiopia. Many ambassadors based here in Addis Ababa paid visit to Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, and you know, it was beyond their expectation and imagination. And we do remember that even a few weeks ago, a delegation from Liberia came to Ethiopia, and they visited Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, and they were very much encouraged by Ethiopia's digital technology momentum. And they also signed a memorandum of understanding to work together to bolster ties in relation between the two countries in terms of digital technology, in terms of artificial intelligence. And I think most of the developments in terms of artificial intelligence and digital technology stuff that we have been encountering today are the initiative of His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. You know, when he assumed power in 2018, you know, we didn't see such kind of developments, but over the past 7 and 8 years, Dr. Abiy Ahmed really initiated the establishment of Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institutes in 2020, and this is the first in the continent. And he also planned and laid cornerstone to build Artificial Intelligence University. You know, this is going to be the first in Africa, and it's going to be completed between 2026 to 2027. So a lot of good things have been happening in Ethiopia, and I think one of the objective of African social media influencers visit to Ethiopia and their gathering today at Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, another iconic place in Ethiopia, is to reshape the narratives of Africa. You know, countries of Africa, not only Ethiopia, countries such as Rwanda, for example, South Africa, for example, Morocco and others are also doing such an amazing stuff in terms of, you know, nurturing artificial intelligence among their youth. And, you know, I think Africa has a demographic dividend in terms of bolstering, in terms of fostering artificial intelligence, you know. Africa is the continent of young people, you know, the youngest continent in the planet Earth is Africa, is in it. And there is estimation and forecast that by 2050, that means after 25 years or so, you know, 1 in 4 people is going to be African. So, you know, more than 60% of Africans are youth. So the youth are very much inclined to digital technology, to new technology, to artificial intelligence and new stuffs. So Africa should also utilize the demographic dividend. And these content creators, African social media influencers, I think they get a good opportunity to create and to produce more videos and to produce more contents and to release to the youth population of Africa. I think Africa is, you know, seeing a good thing, a good future in terms of artificial intelligence. What did you say, Gametz?
Yeah, artificial intelligence, one of the most beautiful aspects of it is that it allows you to go back and retrieve necessary information. It's just like, you know, a person. You just give it, you know, some prompt. For example, you might have, you know, some need for a piece of advice on something. Now you just provide it with, just the situation. You just give it the context of the situation in which you want to be dealt by AI. For example, problem solving. For instance, you could have, a personal problem. You could say, I just have, very bad relationship with the people that I work with, my colleagues, and then please give me a piece of advice on this. You just give this prompt to AI, and then it generates, pieces of advice with the strategies, and it goes back in history, and then brings you practical examples where you can adapt to, so that you'll be able to solve just this particular challenge. The other thing is, of course, these days everybody can be a creator, content creator. For example, take children. Children as young as 12, 13, 10, they use AI to generate just their own content, which they communicate amongst their peers, and they have, for example, likes, widespread likes from the global community, especially from their peers globally. Now we can talk about democratization of content production these days, which has very much relevance to these influencers under discussion. They have, of course, ample opportunities, democracy to create contents in the way they want. And one thing here that I want to be cautious about is that this comes with responsibility, and because you have the democracy to create any content you wish, it doesn't mean that you really can do it, because the contents might not be good for the target audience or any certain audience that might encounter your contents. We know, for example, in the case of AI generated content, you could, for example, make somebody speak what they really haven't spoken, in real time, and that would be, undesirable. That could be, unfavorable, and then when it reaches, people, of course, it makes them wrongly responsible. Okay, so these kind of things in AI need to be considered very much by everyone, and I would say there is ample opportunity to utilize AI for content creation, and especially when it comes to changing African narrative, it must be done by content creators in a way that is responsible. So they must be skilled. Okay, for instance, we have comedians here. Amongst these influencers.
Yeah, we have seen so many comic actors.
Yeah. So for the sake of just making people smile, you don't create content. Then you must project the possible impact of your content on the viewers. So we can talk about intended and unintended meaning. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
So
the thing is,
all these just need to be considered by these influencers, and artificial intelligence even will help you gauge your contents in a way that when they reach the target audience, they will not cause any harm. Okay, and still for creating responsible contents, AI gives a hand, a big hand. And that is, a very good thing. So how do we utilize content? How do we harness AI for responsible content creation? That also need to be, dealt.
I think that's going to be the critical topic of discussion today as African social media influencers. have been converged at Adwa Victory Memorial Museum. I think they will talk and discuss on ways of utilizing artificial intelligence and digital technology. You know, every good stuff has its own flip side, in good and bad, pros and cons. Yes. And we need to maximize the benefit and the opportunity, and we need to overcome, and we need to you know, minimize and reduce the risks and the disadvantages. Noel, artificial intelligence has revolutionized everything, the way we live, the way we produce content, the way we consume content, and artificial intelligence is everywhere. Artificial intelligence has revolutionized agriculture, education, health, and so on. And countries such as United States in the advanced world are investing a lot in artificial intelligence. They have budgeted like $trillions in artificial intelligence because they do understand that the future of the world is very much depend on artificial intelligence. So their prosperity, their wealth, their prominence, their strengths will very much depend on the way and the magnitude that they utilize artificial intelligence. Do you think, Noel, African countries have invested the desired amount of budget for artificial intelligence, and what should they do in this regard?
Well, based on the facts on the ground, looking at the African countries, we are really behind in terms of AI. We really need to put much efforts. You know, governments need to prioritize AI because the trending world is really an AI world whereby AI does the job faster than human. You know, AI, in another way, people say AI is taking jobs, but then AI cannot substitute human. You know, AI cannot take the job because AI still need human to operate it. Without human, AI alone cannot, you know, start to carry on a task. You know. So we really need to prioritize it. We really need to put in our constitution that AI is a must. You know, we need to educate our children, the youths on AI. You know, AI education, AI short courses that can really, you know, boost their knowledge on AI. You know, AI on content creation, more especially the content creators who gathered in Addis Ababa yesterday and today. Most of them, if not all of them, you know, they use AI in one way or another to be able to develop or to create, you know, content that really target the audience. You know, the audience have some glitches, some points that of interest. You know, Gamachusa mentioned, you know, fiction and humor, you know, stories that will really, you know, impress you. You know, when you are going, you're having a long day, you are having some stress. After watching the content creators likes of Sabinos of Nigeria and Brain Jota, you mentioned, you watching his content, you know, you get to forget your problems. So we really need to prioritize AI in different fields, not only on content creation, but as well on education. You know, education assisted by AI, whereby you can, you know, your children can learn from home using AI.
Yeah.
AI support, you know that. So AI is something amazing that we really want to put much effort. And then looking at my own experience being to different African countries, I was in Arusha last year, I've been to Djibouti, and this year I've been to Abuja. You know, AI is really, you know, it's really making things, yeah, it's growing, you know. You find out somebody, you ask them for something, they be like, wait, and then they go immediately to their AI to find out. And then, you know, AI has some negative impact as well, whereby we really need to use it correctly. We really need to use it, you know, to combat disinformation and also to be able to fight, you know, malinformation, scamming and all this, you know. getting a screenshot of something, and then you ask AI to confirm for you, is this authentic or not? You know, AI will be able to tell you that, no, this is fake, this is not real. So it's really something that can put us on the same track with the developed world, you know. The world is really moving towards artificial intelligence, whereby getting a job as a finance or accountant in the modern world, you need to have knowledge of AI. And it applies to all other fields. You cannot be recruited in the modern world without having knowledge of AI, because AI has some tools that will really, you know, help you perform more than expectation, you know. Your manager, your boss may expect you to perform more. And with the help, with the support of AI, you can be able to deliver more than the expectation. So government really need to put resources together, need to encourage you know, AI learning in schools, in the universities, and I'm very sure once Ethiopia establish the AI university, people from different parts of Africa will be coming here to Addis Ababa to learn AI. You know, our African youths, they are the biggest population, and they are more of AI interest. You know, they are so much interested in AI. You know, you'll find a young boy in my country, for example, in South Sudan, you will find a young boy of less than 15 years already knows what AI is. They can be able, you know, to generate content using AI, of which mostly they do picture generation. You know, AI can generate, they can upload their own portal, and then they will be like, AI, can you edit it for me? And then you find that they get a different version. They can be like, can you edit it, me and Lionel Messi? And then you find that they'll be with Lionel Messi on the pitch, which pleases them. They become very happy after seeing such picture. You know, they have their idols. You know, somebody may be admiring Cristiano Ronaldo, but he has no opportunity of getting in touch with him. But with AI, you can make a picture with Cristiano Ronaldo.
That is amazing.
So it's really something so nice.
I love your analysis in the assertion.
Yeah.
In particular, your analysis of artificial intelligence and the future of human jobs. I mean, I know that some people are scared of artificial intelligence because they are frustrated at artificial intelligence capacity and competency. I mean, one day artificial intelligence may snatch my job. And this has been, to be honest, the fear of journalists as well, you know, because we have been encountering AI anchors and AI news presenters, yeah. But like you said, Newell, there is nothing that can beat human intelligence in this planet, yeah. So we should adapt to artificial intelligence, and we need to embrace artificial intelligence, and we need to maximize the benefit that we incur from artificial intelligence. And you also raised the issue of, you know, misinformation and disinformation through artificial intelligence. You know, artificial intelligence needs to be responsibly utilized. Otherwise, you know, we might encounter misinformation. You know, misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation are the danger of this generation. So we need to, you know, we need to increase our digital literacy skill, and we need to be critical whenever we search information, read information, grasp information, and take information. We need to raise our critical thinking ability. We need to develop our digital literacy skills. A lot can be said about artificial intelligence, and you know, yesterday African social media influencers have visited Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, and let us watch a video that displays African social media influencers' visits at Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence, and we're gonna come back and entertain other topics. In particular, you know, African social media influencers have visited other iconic places such as Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, Addis Ababa International Convention Center, Arada Park, and many iconic places. And we're gonna entertain each topic a bit by bit. Let us watch African social media influencers visit at Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute.
severe humanitarian.
7,000 dead, 7 million displaced. This is a long and bloody conflict between rebels.
For decades, the world searched for Africa.
Hello and welcome once again. This is Pulse of Africa's live stream of African Social Media Influencers Summit 2026. This is the first of its kind ASMIS 2026. African Social Media Influencers Summit has been organized by Pulse of Africa and AGA Tech Enterprise. So Pulse of Africa, as Pulse of Africa, we are very much proud to be co-organizing this super important continental summit, African Social Media Influencers Summit. Let us continue our discussion. And earlier on, we have been talking on the influencers visit at Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute. And of course, this is not the iconic place that the African social media influencers visited. This is not the only place. They have visited other places as well. For example, they visited Gulele Women Injera Enterprise. And this is an enterprise that has been in charge of baking injera and empowering women towards economy. And what can we say about Gulele Women Injera Enterprise, Gamets?
We can say a lot. Well, yesterday we watched the influencers, of course, making injera and encountering, just the way how Ethiopians make injera. They're our staple food. Very interesting events were observed as the influencers visited the facility. And some of them, made it to make, a good injera, and others and ran out just in the middle, and then they were added with more to make, just the injera. And that was really interesting, and we could see that they really enjoyed the event. Well, yesterday, if you remember, Zelalem, we mentioned what it means, to have injera, Ethiopia's staple food, at this level. Well, many Ethiopian women traditionally make injera, and this injera obviously cannot be, the same when it is, made at this level in such a facility. All the facility allow the injera that is made to be, of export standard. We talked about what this injera could mean, for the diaspora community outside of Ethiopia, both in Africa and, for example, the US mainly. And we mentioned Washington, D.C. as one of the destinations of Ethiopia's injera. And I know I have friends who miss injera very much, and they wait for injera to be flown by Ethiopian Airlines to Washington, D.C. and enjoy it. And this is also the identity of Ethiopians, injera. And in the US, for instance, and also in Europe, people, the native people there, are becoming, more familiar with injera than ever. And they just, give it, a bite in between, just this flat bread with a variety of sauce. In between, they just make, a kind of sandwich, and they just give it, a bite, as if, just they are biting, a hamburger. And this is, showing that injera is penetrating the international market, which is a very good thing for Ethiopia. And I would say, the influencers, as they visited this facility yesterday, they might draw a lesson, which is they can have, their staple food made at this organized level, so that it will be able to penetrate the international market as well. They can export, this similar staple food items from their respective countries to the rest of Africa, at the same time to the rest of the world. And I think this is a very interesting moment for
you have
the
been telling
influencers.
us, Gamach, the techniques and the skills of baking injera. And I do know that, baking injera is not a simple task. It's not an easy task. It's a tricky thing. I'm Ethiopian, but I have never tried baking injera. Noel, have you tried it? Have you ever?
Not really, but I have eaten it and I enjoy it. It's really nice, Ethiopian injera.
Sorry, when was the first time you tasted Ethiopian injera? Because we know that you are from South Sudan.
Yeah. Sure. Like the first time I tasted injera was in South Sudan.
In South Sudan.
Yes.
So Ethiopian injera penetrating South Sudan market.
Yes, it's already there in South Sudan. I enjoyed injera with tips in South Sudan, like some. More than 7 years back, like before I step into Ethiopia. It's really nice, I fell in love with injera before coming to Ethiopia, So basically with the content influencers, the content creators, influencers from Africa, social media influencers visiting the Gulele women injera project, it's really interested for them to see, and for them also to create contents of what our women are doing at the grassroots. If not them going there, people will not know. Like me, the first time I visited the site was in March this year. I was so impressed. I was so happy, seeing the modernized way of making injera, They have upgraded it from the local. I'm sure the local way they used to make it using fire and charcoal and all these, firewoods. But now with the modern facility there, they're using electricity to make injera, which really made me feel so proud, And I would really love that such facility be in other African countries as well. And just to put you guys in picture, South Sudan has their own injera called kisra, in South Sudan and Sudan as well. We have been eating injera, which is South Sudan version, like since we are kids, It's more of the same, only the ingredients differs, Like the injera in Ethiopia, I don't know, they make it from teff, we call it teff, and then ours we make it from a maize flour mixed with a wheat flour, But they are more of the same. You look at it, it's round, the same size. You even be like, oh, but ours, we fold it. We fold it the way you fold handkerchief, Yeah, but for Ethiopians, they put it open and then they put the sauce in. Ours, you grab it first and then you put it into the sauce. That's the difference with it. But it's really showing, different cultures that Africa has, in terms
and
of
the
food
aim
and
is, the target behind this initiative, Gulele Women Injera Enterprise, is to empower women, Ethiopian mothers, Ethiopian women, do bake injera at their home, and that's for home consumption. But it has never been the habit of Ethiopian women to make it as a business. And now, with the support of Ethiopian government, thousands of women are engaged in baking injera, and selling injera, you know, and that has economically empowered women. And beyond that, this is, you know, Ethiopian traditional staple food, and it's good to promote such kind of identity to the rest of Africans. And it's great that African social media influencers paid visit to injera, and they also tried to bake injera. Of course, many of them were not successful because, like I said before, it has never been easy to bake Ethiopian injera. It demands some kind of skill and practice. You cannot eat overnight. So it's great that they have been introduced to Ethiopian traditional food. And like you said, South Sudan do have their own traditional foods, but we Africans need to promote our own identities. Foods, traditional cuisines are part of our identity. Yeah, we cannot alienate from ourselves. So we need to promote, we need to advertise. You know, for example, if you ask other Africans, they do not know injera. At least they do not know injera as much as they know pizza or burger. Imagine, pizza and burger are not African food and cuisine. They are Americans. In particular, burger is United States food, and pizza is from Italy. But they have penetrated global market, and that's through the use of the effective utilization of media and advertisement in the form of news media, in the form of entertainment media, in the form of film, music. You know, they have penetrated the global market. So like they did, we Africans, in particular African social media influencers, are expected to promote African traditional cuisine to the rest of Africa and to the rest of the world. Yeah, so let us take a look at African social media influencers' visit at Gulele Women Injera Enterprise, and we're going to be back for other information.
If you don't tell your story, it will be told by others. They'll talk of hunger, they'll talk of war, they'll talk of conflict, but they'll not say the things that are happening in Africa that are positive.
This is POA, a very new media organization in Ethiopia.
We have to be voice for ourselves. There is no one else that can tell our story better than us.
If it's defending African matters, then go for it. Go for Pulse Media.
This is the Pulse of Africa. Tune in, follow the journey, and learn about the news and what's shaping our African continent.
I am really impressed by the work that they are doing by telling the African story from Africa for Africans. I think it's definitely needed.
Please subscribe to the Pulse of Africa on all platforms.
Let us make Africa Thank you. Thank you all so much. You may be seated. Let us stand and celebrate together. And let us make Africa the tree of life. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, African continental gatherings are truly unique because our conversations are shaped not just by data, by policy, by the agenda, but also by rich anecdotes. And I'd like to share a proverb that summarizes why we gathered today. And that proverb is, until the lion learns to write, every story will glorify the hunter. For long, African story has been told by others. But now that lion is learning to write, and each and every one of you in this room are part of Africa telling its own story. Allow me to acknowledge our distinguished assembly joining us this morning. Your Excellency, Ambassador Nebiat Getachew, spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Seifa Derbe, CEO of Pulse of Africa, Ms. Botho Kebabonye Bayendi, Director of Strategic Planning and Delivery at the African Union Commission, Mr. Gameda Olana, the lead organizer of ASMIS and also the CEO of AGA Tech Enterprise, participants from the Addis Ababa City Administration, from the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, from the Tourism Ministry, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, partners, media representatives. We also have the beautiful Miss World Hasi Dereje here in front. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa's leading social media influencers and content creators. It is an honor to welcome you all to Africa's very first Social Media Influencer Summit, ASMIS 2026, here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the historic Adwa Victory Memorial. This summit is proudly organized jointly by the Pulse of Africa Media and also by AGA Tech Enterprise. Pan-African media institutions are vital for the development of our continent, and the Pulse of Africa Media, since its establishment in 2025 by His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, has been striving tirelessly to achieve one goal: to become a leading Pan-African media and to become a platform for Africans to tell their stories. But that will not be achieved alone. It takes the joint collaboration of each and every one of us here in this room, and that is why we've gathered for this assembly. And AGA Tech Enterprise also is a technology and innovation-driven organization focused on digital transformation, and together they have brought us for this beautiful event. So today is truly special, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll tell you why. So we're joined by participants from over 30 countries. We're joined by influencers who are more than 60 from across the continent and more than 120 influencers from across Ethiopia. And together, this room reaches 400 million people through the combined following. That is tremendous responsibility. Who uses your platform. Empower young innovators, creators, and professionals through technology, networking, and enterprise solutions. Therefore, please give a very warm and roaring warm round of applause as we welcome Mr. Gameda Olana, a co-organizer of Africa's first Social Media Influencer Summit.
I'm so glad to see you guys sitting in front of me, what we have imagined before a year ago. today, that's the day. Honorable Ambassador Nabiat Getachew, spokesperson of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia.
Seyfi Deribe, CEO of Pulse of Africa. Mrs. Boto Kababayoni Bayendi, Director of Strategic Planning and Delivery at African Union Commission. Distinguished guests, honorable officials, respected influencers, digital creators, media titans, visionary partners, friends from across Africa and the world. Welcome to Ethiopia. Welcome to ASMIS. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ethiopia, the capital of humanity, the land of origin, the birthplace of coffee, and the beating heart of Africa. The land where ancient civilization once flourished under the shadow of towering obelisks, the nation that stood uncolonized, proud and defiant, inspiring the entire Black world. From the majestic Samin Mountains to the scared water of Lake Tana, Wanchi Creator, Benina Village, Jabaram Chuchura, from the rock Hewan Church of Lalibela to the vibrant street of Addis Ababa. Ethiopia is not just a country, it's a legend, carved in stone, and a living spirit of its people. Today, this is a historic land, a diplomatic capital of Africa, opened its arms once again, not just to welcome you, but to host a revolution that is a digital revolution. It's with immense pride, unshakable passion, and explosive excitement that I stand before you today as organizers of African Social Media Influencers Summit, ASMIS 2026. My brothers and sisters, this is not just an event. Today, it marks the birth of a movement. That's again a digital movement of Africa. We are gathered here in Addis Ababa, the political and diplomatic heartbeat of the continent, a city where Africa's past, present, and future collide in spectacular fashion. Ethiopia, with its rich and broken history, its incredibly resilient culture, its explosive economic growth, and one of the fastest rising digital communities on the entire continent, at the perfect stage for this historic gathering. Social media has not just changed the game, it's rewritten the rules of power. Social media has not changed the game, it has rewritten the rules of power. Across Africa, influencers and content creators are no longer mere entertainers. They have become storytellers, educators, brand builders, tourism ambassadors, cultural diplomats, and the loudest and the most authentic voice of the new African generation. They are shaping mindset, driving economies, challenging all the narratives, and projecting a bold, confident Africa to the world. This is exactly why ASMIS was born. We created this summit with audacious vision to build the largest, most powerful, and the most impactful platform in Africa. We were influencers, creators, brands, policymakers, investors, innovators come together to connect, collaborate, and dominate. This is not about chasing followers and going viral. This is about impact. This is about the power. This is about the destiny. We want ASMIS to become the ultimate bridge between raw Africa creativity and a massive global opportunity, between untapped talent, game-changing investment, between dreams of young creators and the institution ready to back them. Through ASMIS, we ignite powerful partnership, explosive
storytelling. That's why we have Wedemaya, the one and only here in our summit. And to every influencer and a creator in this room today, your voice is a weapon, and your platform is an influence. Your content is currency. Never underestimate what you hold in your hand. One video can spark a movement. One post can build a business empire. One creator can inspire the entire generation. To our international guests, thank you for believing in the future of Africa. To our partners and sponsors, thank you for investing. Thank you for investing in a big vision. To government of Ethiopia and supporting institutions, thank you for championing the youth power and digital diplomacy. As an organizer, we make this solemn promise. We build ASMIS to African Premier Annual Digital Summit, world-class, boundary-breaking, growing with every edition. Maybe next year, we don't gonna have only ASMIS. We are going to have African social media influencers award as well. Let this summit spark conversation that echo African to the other continents and to the world. Let's create partnerships that can transform entire industry. Let it birth and a new generation of fearless, world-class African digital leaders. Welcome to ASMIS. Welcome to Ethiopia. Welcome to the future of digital power. Thank you.
Wow, what powerful words. Thank you very much, Mr. Gamada. Indeed, today is the beginning of a movement, a digital movement for Africa, and we love how you took the initiative to organize this event, which we hope will continue to be held yearly. Our conversations today will cover content creation, how AI plays a role into that. We'll discuss how to brand Africa through tourism, culture, and global perceptions. We'll also discuss the role of digital platforms in Agenda 2063, so that Agenda 2063 is not something that's left in the documents, but our youth take the leading role in advancing it. We now have a second speaker. It is such a great pleasure to now hear from the Pulse of Africa, the media that is stewarding Africans speaking for themselves and Africans telling their own stories. Please give a warm welcome to Fitsum Shimelis, the Deputy CEO of Pulse of Africa Media. They brought us together in this beautiful event. Fitsum Shimelis, a very warm welcome. All right, let's have the CEO speak in his behalf. Let's welcome Mr. Saifa, the CEO of Pulse of Africa Media.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Your Excellency, Ambassador Nebiat Getachew, spokesperson of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, distinguished guests, esteemed influencers and digital creators from our beloved continent, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, good morning. Today it's with immense pride and profound honor that I stand before you in the historic city of Addis Ababa, the diplomatic capital of Africa and the heart of our continental unity. On behalf of the Pulse of Africa, I warmly welcome you to the African Social Media Influencer Summit, ASMIS 2026. This gathering is more than a conference. It's a defining moment for Africa's digital future. We are gathered here among the visionaries, storytellers, innovators, and cultural architects who are shaping how Africa sees itself and how the world sees Africa. Our team, Influence for a Better Africa, is not merely a slogan. It's a mission. It's a responsibility. And above all, it's a call to action. And the authors of this new African story are in this room. The genesis of this summit and of the Pulse of Africa, burgeoning Pan-African media platform, stems from the vision of His Excellency, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of Ethiopia. He observed a continent whose story was being told for it, where negative headlines overshadowed the genius, culture, and innovation of its people. The Prime Minister declared that Africa needs its own voice, found in its own storytellers. From that initiative, the Pulse of Africa was born with a clear mission to be a platform that spreads your authentic Pan-African narratives. In a remarkably short time, a platform has expanded across more than 30 African countries, gained the support of ambassadors and institutions across the continent, and partnered with landmark gatherings including the African Union Summit and the G20. The momentum demonstrates something powerful. Africa is no longer waiting to be heard. Africa is speaking for itself. Yet as our continent rises, we also face serious challenges, divisions, misinformation, conflict, and social fragmentation threaten the unity and progress we seek to build. This is why the summit is not merely ceremonial. It is strategic. It's a continental response to defending question of our generation. How do we use the digital influence not only to entertain, but to educate, unite, inspire, and transform? So today, we affirm a new standard of influence for Africa, one rooted in purpose, responsibility, and impact. An influence that builds community instead of division. An influence that uplifts young people with the hope and opportunity. An influence that celebrates African heritage while driving African innovation. An influence that protects the dignity of women, amplifies their leadership, and rejects every form of exploitation and abuse. And an influence that promises peace over conflict, unity over polarization, and progress over despair. And there is no more fitting place to begin this movement than here in Ethiopia, the land of origins, the capital of Africa, and a symbol of a continent resilience from the victory of Adwa, the grand Renaissance down. To the distinguished influencers here today, you are choosing voice to share Africa's truths. The collective influence in its whole is enough to reshape the global conversation. Let us wait. It is wisdom, courage, and love for our continent. In closing, I extend our deepest appreciation to Addis Ababa City Administration and Her Excellency Mayor Adanechi Abebe, the Minister of Tourism, the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, and his leader, Dr. Werku Gachana, our sponsors, and all of our partners and every individuals who made this historic summit possible. Above all, we express sincere gratitude to His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed for his visionary leadership, unwavering belief in Africa's future, and his commitment to empowering Africa's storytellers. Thank you so much.
What a powerful message. Let's give another warm round of applause to the CEO of Pulse of Africa Media, Mr. Seifer. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to take an assignment, and I'll tell you what the assignment is, because the thing about an assignment is that the teacher follows up if you do the assignment or not. So I'll tell you the assignment later. Mr. Seifer shared with us the genesis of establishing the Pulse of Africa Media. For long, Africans have been complaining that, oh, our stories are not told in the authentic way, stating the problem. But today we become part of the solution. And each and every one of us in this room will take that assignment to promote the authentic African story. So that when something happens in Africa, you don't turn on to a media that's miles away, oceans away, to learn about yourself. So today we're going to take that assignment. Each and every one of us will have to take the responsibility to take the African story to the world. We can partner with the Pulse of Africa media. There is so much that we can do, and therefore we encourage every one of you to take that assignment. As we've mentioned earlier by Mr. Deriba, we've said that we're going to hopefully have the African Social Media Awards to promote and to award content and platforms that tell the African story, so that we start stepping away from the likes and going viral while promoting our beautiful continent. Ladies and gentlemen, can we take that assignment? Shall we take that assignment? Can I hear it in a warm round of applause? Yes. Can we all say, I'll speak for Africa? Oh no, I can't hear you because I'm having problems to hear you. Say, I'll speak for Africa. Oh yeah, that's the spirit. I'll speak for Africa. Absolutely. It takes one person. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes one person to speak for Africa. And you guys in this room, you speak to 400 million people. Look at yourselves. You speak to 400 million people. Now, I want you to say with spirit, I'll speak for Africa. And I'll always speak for Africa. That is what we need today. And we'll hold you accountable. Next year when we come, Mr. Organizer, next year when we come, we're going to hold everyone accountable to see how much of us have spoken for Africa. We've heard Wodemaya. If you want to see how beautiful Addis Ababa is, go to Wodemaya's page. Let's give him a warm round of applause. If you want to see the beauty and the grace of Addis Ababa, go talk to her. Let's see a warm round of applause to her. It takes one person to speak for Africa, and we're 400 million people here. So today, we're starting a movement, and we're speaking for our beautiful continent. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now that you've taken your assignment, now that you've written down your homework, we'd like to direct your attention to the screen for a short video of ASMIS 2026. Therefore, give us your full attention for the following short video.
Severe humanitarian. 7,000 dead, 7 million displaced. This is a long and bloody conflict between rebels.
For decades, the world searched for Africa. It found the same headlines: war, disease, poverty, chaos. And over time, those images didn't just shape opinions. Rather, they shaped investments, they shaped interest rates, they shaped policy decisions, and the opportunities Africans could access. This is the prejudice premium, not just only stereotypes, but also economic consequences. Research referenced by African media and policy groups estimated Africa's losses reach $4.2 billion each year due to distorted perceptions. When lenders and investors view the continent as unstable, even when fundamentals are improving, African countries don't just face tough markets. They face inflated borrowing costs, higher risk becomes higher interest, and higher interest becomes less money for what people actually need. That money could have built systems, water, healthcare, education, but it gets redirected through the lens of fear. How does the prejudice spread so fast? Through a habit, cherry picking. When global outlets chase drama, African elections are often framed as chaos, not governance. Substantive stories, job creation, healthcare reform, economic policy get buried under the loudest crisis moments. And online, the digital mirror reflects that bias. If most African content historically came from non-Africans, the world learns Africa from someone else's camera. and the continent becomes an idea, not a reality. But the era of passive complaint is over, because Africa is not waiting for permission to be seen. With over 60% of the population under 25, the continent is young and digital first. Smartphones and high-speed internet have changed the rules. Now, creators can bypass legacy gatekeepers. They can show daily progress, from tech hubs and innovation labs to architecture, mobility, and thriving communities. Africa is being documented in real time by Africans. The question is, who should do more to counter negative stereotypes about Africa? Not just governments, not just institutions, rather, digital creators and influencers, tech leaders, policymakers, and collaborative framework. Creators are the front line. Every post is an opportunity to replace a stereotype with evidence, not propaganda, but proof of progress. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be consistent. Because visibility builds trust. Trust builds confidence. Confidence builds capital and a continent. However, creators can't win alone. Tech is the infrastructure of discovery. Tech leaders must ensure African stories are searchable, recommended, and reachable in local feeds and global ones. That means supporting digital literacy, improving creator tools, and building platforms that elevate African content rather than bury it. Because if the world can't find the story, it will default to the old one. Then comes the shield, policymakers. Governments must treat the creator economy as a strategic sector, not a side hustle, but a driver of jobs, skills, entrepreneurship, and exports of culture and knowledge. A pro-innovation environment plus stronger governance fundamentals reduces the facts that sensationalize media exploits. When systems improve, the narrative improves, because reality improves. That's why the African Social Media Influencer Summit 2026 is more than just a conference. It is a community of practice, a place to keep collaborating long after the cameras fade. And importantly, the host country Ethiopia isn't just only a cultural and diplomatic hub of Africa. It can also be Africa's next digital innovation signal, where policy meets creators and technology meets ambition. The goal is simple: close the gap between the Africa the world imagines and the Africa that is actually building. The prejudice premium can only end when Africans fully own their stories. So it's time to put up or shut up. Capture, publicize, celebrate. Because when Africa's narrative becomes Africa's reality, everyone wins.
All right, thank you all so much for your attention. Now, yesterday was a very vibrant visit day, and Mr. Saife Derube, the CEO of Pulse of Africa, was sharing to me, and he said that one of the influencers from Africa said, "Africa is not dark." Who said that? Is he in the room? Is he in the room? Is he in the room, the one who said Africa is not dark? And if you want to know that Africa is not dark, just come here, come here, come here. Let's see you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I'm a student of literature. I'm a student of English language and literature. And the first textbook that you read is a textbook called The Heart of Darkness, talking about Africa. He said, Africa is not dark. And if you want to know that Africa is not dark, just go to Addis Ababa. Can we give a warm round of applause? Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Indeed, it is this movement that we have started today. And once again, thank you very much to our co-organizer, Mr. Gamada Olana. Thank you very much to Mr. Saifa Derbe. It is now time that we take a very big family photo in which no one is allowed to be left out. So we're going to invite everyone to go to the designated place for the photo. It's right at the front of the Pan-African Hall, and we'll take one big family photo. Mr. Saifa, do you approve a family, right? Family photo. Let's have a family photo. We'll first give priority to our VIPs who are sitting here at the front, and then the rest of us will also join and have one big family pictures. Now, please give a warm round of applause as we escort our guests of honor to proceed first to go to the place for the family picture, and the rest of us will also continue and follow them. Thank you all so much. What a powerful morning. We'll now go to the family photo site, and as we leave, we'd like to thank the Addis Ababa City Administration, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, also thank the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, and all of our sponsors who have made today very memorable. When we come back, we'll have a panel discussion on how we can use AI to improve our digital content. So that's our panel following this. But now let's go for the picture, and then we'll also enjoy a coffee break, and then we'll come back and discuss how to use AI to improve our content. Thank you all so much. Make sure you don't miss the family picture.
Something powerful is already happening. Over 200 content creators sitting together, aligning, questioning.
Deciding what Africa's digital future should actually look like.
Because this isn't just about content anymore.
It's about direction.
Millions of followers and millions of eyes.
Now moving with shared purpose.
Stories are being shaped with intention.
Narratives are being clarified.
Agendas are being defined.
Because when Africa speaks in fragments,
it gets misunderstood.
But when it moves together,
it becomes undeniable.
What's happening here doesn't stay here.
You are watching Pulse of Africa's live transmission of Africa's Social Media Influencer Summit, ASMIS 2026. Live from Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, iconic place in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. More than 200 influencers from across Africa are here at Adwa Victory Memorial Museum to attend this super important continental summit. Influencers such as, for example, William Last of Botswana, Zero Brainer of Tanzania, Tenge of Uganda, Brain Jotter of Nigeria, Sarah Mason of Ivory Coast, Nova Smith of Guinea, and many more are attending this super important continental summit, African Social Media Influencer Summit. Gamachis and Noel. Earlier on, we have been watching the message conveyed by the CEO of Pulse of Africa and the manager of AGA Tech Enterprise. African Social Media Influencer Summit was organized by Pulse of Africa and AGA Tech Enterprises, and we have watched powerful and insightful speech from Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. For example, Gamada Olana, manager of AGA Tech Enterprise, spoke about this necessity of shaping and reshaping the narratives of Africa. One of his insightful speech was like, one creator can inspire generation. These are more than 200 influencers from across Africa. When these digital voices is converged, you can imagine how Africa's narrative could be reversed from the negative portrayal and from the inaccurate and incomplete portrayal of the continent to a more complete and nuanced narratives of Africa. One creator can inspire generations, Gamada Olana said. How do you analyze this super important thought, governments? With, for example, we see that with one word, people can go to peace and development, and with one sentence, with one word, with one video, with one speech, people may go into war and crisis, of course. So we need to use our power. Influencers, African social media influencers, need to utilize, of course, their power, responsibly. And this time they need to use their power, their immense power, to reshape the narratives of Africa, because it is high time that Africa needs to reverse the negative portrayal of the continent that has hampered its economic development, that has hampered its diplomatic endeavors. Let us make analysis of Gamada Ulana's speech.
Yes, absolutely. You're right, Zalalam. Well, we can take this statement in two opposite directions. Well, the first one, these social media creators, they are so powerful. They have immense power in terms of their convincing, persuading capacity. For instance, those influencers, who just came to Addis Ababa and spoke about it to the global community, have really informed everyone who happens, to watch their creation, their work. And many people I know, because of, those content creations, have come to Addis Ababa and just see for themselves the transformations Addis Ababa has been entertaining for quite, some years now. Now, when this happens, obviously, people come to Addis Ababa, come to Ethiopia, and they see the beauty, they see the opportunity, the good things in the country, in the city as well, and they possibly, just could be, very good investors, for instance. On the other hand, when we take, outside media sources, earlier we have watched covering, about war zones, conflict zones. This number of people have died because of this conflict in Africa. This number of people have suffered from starvation, etc. Now, can you imagine how this might impact, just the listeners, the watchers, or the readers when it is, on the newspaper? Now, people wouldn't come to Africa when they are really entertaining, these kinds of coverage, conflict coverage. So it is very important. Of course, Mr. Gamada Olana said, your voice is not just a weapon to fight against, negative narratives about Africa, but it is a currency. It's their currency, which means, it's their wealth. So they can rather, enhance positive stories about Africa. So we can see it, in two different directions, and one is positive, the other is negative, and obviously it impacts. By the way, if you look at, the content creators' impacts in terms of, just their works, one piece of work could, be viewed by billions of people, not just millions of people globally, but it can reach, as many as in billions. Why is that? As Mr. Gameda said, this is, their currency, the currency of the social media influencers. When it is, so quality, when that work is, of high standard, one single work, one piece of work, can reach the global community and to enhance, positive narrative about Africa. So we can see it, into different ways. Those who stand, against Africa, could create contents, of course, that perpetuate, the negative narrative about Africa, and obviously that is going to impact, viewers, especially the global community who are very far from Africa, just say physically, psychologically, socially, and economically. They would rely on these social media creations.
Exactly, Gamet. That's quite insightful, and thank you for your thoughtful analysis. And let us engage Noel to the conversation. Gameda Olana, the CEO of AGA Tech Enterprise, says this African Social Media Influencer Summit is very much pivotal in terms of augmenting, in terms of amplifying African voice, and we're going to make this initiative consistent and sustainable. And he promised that next year there are going to be African social media influencers not summit, award. So it's going to be consistent. It's high time that African social media influencers, African influencers in different fields, in politics, in foreign relations, in diplomacy, in sport, in other sectors, need to converge, and they need to, work together toward the aspirations of Africans. How do you see, how do you assess, his speech in terms of bringing social media influencers together?
AGA manager or CEO really mentioned some key and important informations, in regards to bringing the social media influencers in Addis Ababa. He mentioned that it marks the beginning of a movement. So meaning that this is not the end, this is not the last summit, it's going to be yearly, annually, Next year, social media influencers will as well gather again to discuss issues of importance, He also mentioned social media has not changed the game, but it is rewriting, the power of digital media, how digital media can really influence and can really reach, big number of population, Another thing, he encouraged the content creators, to continue creating contents positively, contents that really matters, content that explain, the real narratives about Africa, They should not only focus on entertainment, but also telling African stories, It is really a speech that is remarkable, that is encouraging for the influencers who gathered in Addis Ababa, and I'm very sure if they take his remark seriously, it will really impact their work positively, They can be able to generate content that will have a big number, big reach, in terms of viewers, in terms of even getting followers, and it will have impact as well on African population. African really get impressed by seeing their African fellow growing, getting viewers, like likes of Wadamaya, who just hit, 3 million, followers on Facebook, It's really something so nice from African perspective, because looking at the white, the Europeans, the American social media influencers, you find out they have very many followers compared to our African social media influencers. So we Africa, we are the biggest continent. We are the biggest continent in terms of population, in terms of land. So if we can really support the content creators, they will really do a great job, because the CEO of AGA was really, focusing so much on encouraging, the content creators to continue with their work, and then to develop as much as they can positive content of real African narratives, So I really concur with his remark, His remark is really a remark of somebody who wants to see something good for the continent, Yeah.
Absolutely, Noel. We have heard some powerful and insightful, thoughtful speech from Adwa Victory Memorial Museum. The first African Social Media Influencer Summit is being held in the diplomatic heartbeat of Africa, Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, at the iconic Adwa Victory Memorial Museum. And, earlier on, Sefa Deribe, CEO of Pulse of Africa, has also delivered a powerful note at Adwa Victory Memorial Museum. And he said that the main objective behind ASMIS is to fight negative stereotypes, to counter negative stereotypes and negative narratives against Africa. And of course, the CEO of Pulse of Africa also spoke about the genesis of Pulse of Africa, how Pulse of Africa was established. And he underlined and he underscored that Pulse of Africa was established by the the initiative of His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed. As we know, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed is a major proponent and advocate of African unity. He's Pan-Africanist, we could say. And at the 35th African Union Summit, at the 35th Ordinary Session of the African Union Summit, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed spoke about the danger of negative stories and negative stereotypes against Africa. And he underscored the significance of countering negative stereotypes and negative portrayals of Africa, because Africa is not rightly portrayed across the world. And His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed underlined that the negative portrayal of Africa not only shape how the world views Africa, but it also shape how Africans view themselves, and that's very dangerous. And he initiated the establishment of Pulse of Africa, and a few months ago Pulse of Africa was established, and it was inaugurated by His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed. And over the past few months, Pulse of Africa has done, has accomplished, major success. For example, in terms of Facebook, in terms of YouTube, we could see that Pulse of Africa has cultivated more than 200,000 followers at Facebook, and the YouTube page is also getting significant momentum. And of course, a lot remains to be done to make sure that Pulse of Africa fits the aspiration of Africans. So the CEO of Pulse of Africa, Saifa Darebe, also spoke about the significance of augmenting and amplifying voices of peace over conflict. We know that Africa, the headlines of global media organizations screamed about conflict and crisis. If you watch, for example, CNN or Al Jazeera or other global media organization, you could see that the major headlines on African stories is stories of crisis. For example, if you see the stories of South Sudan, we see like civil war in South Sudan, the crisis in South Sudan, the drought and famine in South Sudan. For example, let me ask you, Newell, what's one thing you think, one positive stories that is missing in South Sudan?
In South Sudan, we have stories that content creators from South Sudan are yet, to create contents about and to share to the world. In South Sudan, we have kingdoms which exist as of today. We have the Zande Kingdom, we have the Shilluk Kingdom, we have the Anuak Kingdom. We have several kingdoms of which they have their kings in place. Taking an example, asking a fellow Ghanaian, they don't know that South Sudan has kingdoms. Other Africans, they don't know that South Sudan has kings. And those kingdoms, they are dated back to some centuries ago. Like the Zande Kingdom, it was abolished some years back, but then they reinstated the king of recently. And now, the king is there, the kingdom is there in place. So such stories, it will really give, attention to South Sudan once the content creators, started creating stories about the kingdom, how the kings used to initiate, mediation during conflicts and all this. We used to have like intercommunal fighting, whereby the king will take the lead, to initiate the negotiation, which is common in South Sudan. We have a good number of South Sudanese who are educated to the highest level of being professor, lecturing in the US, lecturing in the UK, and then we as well have South Sudanese who have led negotiations at regional levels, And take, for example, like the late founding father, Dr. John Garang de Mabior. He died in the helicopter crash in Uganda as he was negotiating the peace agreement between the Lord Resistance Army, the LRA, who was fighting Ugandan government by then, And it happened that he died in the helicopter crash.
Let me interrupt you. Sorry, let me interrupt you. We're going to carry on the conversation later, but now let us return back to Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, where the African Social Media Influencers Summit is being held for the second day. This is the second day, and various people's CEO of Pulse of Africa and the manager of AGA Tech Enterprise have delivered a speech, and more speeches are expected and panel discussions are also expected. and we're going to make analysis and discussions on this super important continental summit. Stay tuned.
The area in which AI is most criticized for is that AI ruins creativity. How many of you in this room believe that AI actually improves your creativity? AI makes you more creative. Raise your hand. Stand. Yeah. I want you to stand because we have someone from the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute. So I want him to see the proof of how AI can be used for content. If you believe that AI aids creativity, stand. This is proof that Africa is walking into the future. Thank you very much. You may have a seat. So now that we know that the majority of us believe in the power of AI, it is a pleasure to introduce our distinguished moderator. She's sitting here at the front with her beautiful Ethiopian garment. Lensa Makonnen brings a rare combination of government leadership, institutional reform, expertise, and strategic insight into the African Social Media Influencer Summit. And she's a former state minister. She's worked in development. She's worked at national transformation efforts. So she's everything when it comes to digital technology used for development. Ladies and gentlemen, how will you welcome my first moderator to the stage? How will you welcome her? A very warm welcome to Lensa. Welcome, Lensa. The floor is now yours.
Thank you. A bit scary to be here. The last time I was on stage while social media influencers were in the room, I won't say, I got in trouble. So I won't underestimate the power of what you hold as power in your hands and as power in your minds. This is a beautiful gathering. We say Ethiopia is a very diverse country, but this room shows that this is a beautifully diverse continent as well. Welcome to the land of origins. So I'm going to be moderating the big three elephants in the global stage. I call them the three global elephants because we're a little skeptical about having discussions about these topics. AI. I know my colleague is not going to be happy when I say this. There are a lot of criticism that goes into AI being a disempowering tool for civilization. He's already frowning. I'm going to see the other side as well. And like we've seen in the room, there are a lot of people that think AI is a really powerful tool for growth and transformation. So today is going to be a discussion about that. The other element is also a big elephant. Every platform that shaped civilization has been resisted throughout time. The digital space that you are utilizing to create content, to transform narratives, and most importantly, to monetize, is being criticized, is being belittled, rejected. I want to start off by saying kudos to all of you for taking that bold step and saying, no, this is the new era of digital space, and we're going to use it for growth and transformation, not only for ourselves, personally and professionally, but for our country, respective countries, and for the continent. So with that, I would like to welcome my three speakers for the day that are going to be taking questions from us. I'm really bad with formalities. So I'm going to call Samuel from the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence to come to the stage. He's probably going to be the more formal one in this discussion. Welcome. And our second panelist is going to be, my apologies if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Chukwumbuka? Am I right? My apologies if I pronounced it wrong. Branjata. Please, on behalf of me, give him a warm welcome. Extra. Welcome. And William last. And I believe he has more than 54 million followers, right? Like I said, I'm the most formal person you guys can meet. Welcome to Ethiopia, the land of origins. Glad to have you here. So I'm going to start with AI. Yeah? How do you see AI shaping how we transform narratives, how we speak about the continent, about development, history, and the likes?
Okay. I think AI becomes in every house after the GPT, the first GPT model, GPT 3.5. Before that, AI is like more of a research area, and usually technical persons are usually using it. But after that, so for AI, first, especially for us, I'm actually a researcher, so we usually use it like to help us on building like papers or writing codes. So it was really helpful. But for the media, it wasn't started like back in 2023. Maybe some of you know about the Will Smith eating spaghetti video. It was like the first trial that they tried to generate that video using AI. So back in the day, it was really funny. The video is like, it's abnormal. And then different generative models, especially LLMs, become multimodal. They become, they understand images and videos and audios. So after that, content generation using these tools becomes really nice. I think most of you know about Sedence, the latest model, and also Google's Veo. So these models come a long way. For the text, it was even the ChatGPT 3.5 was better, but for video, it was really struggling. Some of the image generated was like some odd shapes or some abnormalities, but now it's really cinematic. You can use AI even to add some additional content, maybe for example, in my speech, or remove my voice with another voice. So there are a lot of tools that AI can be used for content creation. So AI, I think, even for example, in my country, we don't have like, this sketches for children especially. It was really difficult. We don't have a lot of artists in that area, but nowadays using AI, you can generate a really nice image using some concepts. So I think AI helps creativity, especially when you don't have much resources and trainings. We might have our ideas only, but we might not get like well trained in some digital tools like Photoshop or any content creation digital tools. But nowadays, you can, with the help of AI, you can generate a professional looking video or image or text. So I think this is the right moment for using AI in content creation.
Wonderful. So this question goes for all three of you. How do you use your AI in your creative space?
kicking against AI, first of all, I feel like kicking against AI is like kicking against cars in a donkey era. When you say, oh, you're using a car, using a donkey makes you more hardworking. You know what I'm saying? So that's exactly what it is. And I don't think I don't think AI helps you think. You need to be creative to even use AI, because there are some AI images, footages you see, you just say, this is AI, you just shove it to the side, while some other people are making a living from the same AI due to their creativity. So AI doesn't necessarily make you lazy, it makes you more innovative, it gives you the access to the unimaginable. So as creatives and as creators, it has been extremely helpful. As creators, it has been extremely helpful from what's it called? Creating background sounds for YouTube videos, thumbnails, area shots, captions. As easy as it looks, sometimes you get overwhelmed from just captioning a video. I don't know, YouTubers and it's like the most main thing, So AI, I think, is whether you like it or not, you need it. Except you just want to keep riding a donkey. Thank you.
With that, let me put you into the next question, and I'll come to you. So you're using AI, you're looking at it as a very constructive tool for your creativity. How do you merge that into monetizing your content? And what would be your advice to any content creator that's upcoming or anyone in the room?
I don't think the sound guy likes AI so much. Yeah, so first of all, before I even answer that, I would say I was opportune to create let me give you an example, personal experience. My sister keeps coming to me to say, give me money for this, give me money for that. And I'm like, oh, okay, come into content creation. And she's like, I don't like the camera. And I'm like, okay. I'll create you an AI, channel. If you have your phones, you can search Play Perfect. It's an AI Instagram channel that just tells stories. That's my sister, and that's my idea. I just tell her the story. She used AI to create those stories, and she has over 400 and something thousand followers following an AI channel, getting over tens and 20s of millions of views. You know what I'm saying? So she doesn't come to me for money anymore. You know what I'm saying? So what that means is AI can create you a living. You know what I'm saying? Like from cloud AI, generating scripts, generating proposals. You don't need to be, you just need to have an idea. And AI, just helps you put it to life. So it's extremely important. Thank you.
Let's start off with how your take is on AI.
Okay, before I answer the question, I want to take this time to thank the organizers for inviting me. I always wanted to use this line, protocol is observed. To be honest, I haven't been using AI. I haven't used AI. For me, I believe every video that I put, if I uploaded a video yesterday, the following video I want it to be better than the last one. So I always want to use my mind to be creative. So I haven't used AI. But I've been listening to these guys. Their answers are long. Mine is just short. I haven't used AI. I use my mind to make this ugly face.
Now, you influenced the room just now. And you're doing that with 54 million people following you. Say a little bit about that. How does it work to influence and to impact? And like you said, you use your own creativity. And how challenging is that in your space?
I mean, you know, I speak for every influencer here. We all have, you know, life problems, right? Oh, right. Oh, you guys are living nice. Yeah, so, you know, we all have problems. We have, you know, our stuff we do every day. So with that being said, me not using AI, there's times where I have to, you know, I have to write a script or I have to shoot something. And if I have, you know, problems or whatever, it disturbs me. I mean, you said you are using AI. For him, if he has problems, he just asks AI, do a script for me, and then it's done. So it's not easy, you know, but as time goes on, you get used to it. Because I don't know most of you guys why you do content, why you wanna be famous. You know, because when you're doing content, it shouldn't be just because you want to get money. It shouldn't be because you want to get numbers. First thing, it should be love. You need to love it as if it's your wife, your kids. So I'm here because I love doing content. Yeah. Clap for me now.
So wonderful. Let me add one more question, especially for our content creators or influencers.
Yeah.
So you said you want to influence. There's initially the income need. So the economic need is there. And then, of course, you want to be an influencer of something. How do you shape that, especially in a world where Africa is being left behind in terms of development, power, and influence all around? How do you really influence for that shift in narrative of where Africa is globally?
The question is for both of us.
Yes.
Start.
Okay, I mean, so first of all, when I got the message from ASMIS, speaking about Ethiopia, this is my first time in Ethiopia, so the first thing I had to do was to check out, okay, what are the cultural values of Ethiopia? What is Ethiopia? Where is Ethiopia? How is Ethiopia? You know what I'm saying? And then I went to Woody's channel, and then in my head, I was thinking, oh, Ethiopia is one village. I was expecting to see donkeys. And yeah, so you see, because I've never been here, and Ethiopia, I just feel, oh, it's an African country. Oh, I thought Nigeria was the best. And then I went to his channel and I saw Ethiopia, and I'm like, so I didn't reply the message when they sent it to me until I went to his channel, and then immediately I had to, like, you know, go to my WhatsApp and reply the message, you know, when I even saw Woody's channel, I honestly thought it was AI. You know, I thought he was lying at some point. But right now I'm here, and I've realized his video didn't even do justice to what Ethiopia is looking like. So, yeah. So that is exactly how social media has influenced, and how storytelling can influence even further. Because we have 1 million people like myself that has a narrative about how Africa is at large, you know what I'm saying? So it's our responsibility to tell the actual truth. Like my brother said, Africa is not dark. So it's our responsibility to show that light to the world. Thank you.
Why are your answers long? Yeah, mine is not going to be long. You see, I think it was a few months back, there's an influencer, a streamer. His name is Speed. He came to few countries in Africa. And, you know, the response on TikTok, people from, you know, overseas, they saw how Africa is. and most people who were reacting to his videos were surprised that, you know, Africa has hotels, has lights, has whatever. And, you know, it's a sad story because of how, you know, those countries, they see Africa. I mean, when they look at me, they probably think I just came from a hut to shoot a video. You know, so it's in us how we push or how we show Africa, we show the world how Africa is. I mean, my content doesn't necessarily do, you know, doesn't necessarily promote Africa per se or promote my country. But for sure, obviously, people know I'm from Africa. And I'm proud to be African. I'm not going to lie. So if they know I'm from Africa, you want to clap? Clap. I see. You know, with people who know me overseas, knowing I'm from Africa, already that's a mileage. You know, they watch you and then they start researching he's from Africa, which country. They're gonna start paying attention to Africa. And there's a lady I met yesterday. Hey, wait, was it the convent? There's a lady who she dresses in leaves, like just leaves. She makes dress out of leaves. I don't know if she's here. You know, that thing on its own, it's already saying Africa. You know, and as influencers here, I know I have a friend here, I just met him yesterday, he's from Malawi. I know when I'm with him, I just make like, you know, accents from, you know, America or whatever. It doesn't mean I want to be American, you get me? Because I'm saying this line, this is me saying, you know, we shouldn't shy away from being proud of being African. You know, because I've seen a lot of people move into, you know, those countries and changing their personality, changing their tones, you know, changing their content because they want to accommodate the crowd there. If Wademaya does his content by, you know, showing the place where he is, when he gets to, I don't want to say the country because they might not invite me there. If he goes to another continent and then he changes his creativity, that on its own is you saying, I don't respect Africa. This is just my perspective, you get me? But like I'm saying, I'm proud to be African. Everywhere I go in Africa, it's my second home. I was here 3 years back. I see you, it's your first time, sorry. Yes. I was here 3 years back, you know, and it's humbling to be known because of a phone. Because I started this using a phone. And there was no money. I'm not saying there's money now, but it's better. Yeah.
So one last question, let me ask them. Bear with me. I'm going to have my very formal political hat on. I was having a very serious conversation with a colleague of mine that is working on policies, regulations within the African continent. And he said something very profoundly heartbreaking. He said, every continent and major economic powers in the world have a strategy for Africa, but Africa does not have a strategy for itself. Now, I see very powerful, very articulate, well-versed African brothers and sisters that are young and dynamic in the room. What are you guys going to do about that? This question goes all for the three of you.
Okay. Maybe I'll speak from the side of the AI policy, because AI is, I think, is very useful, but it's also very dangerous. So I think we need to be careful how we are using it, when we are using it, because if we can use AI to generate false narratives and also maybe blackmailing someone. So using those types of usage in AI are really dangerous. So I think every country and even the country, I think there are some efforts. So need to have some kind of a policy and also somehow some law, so that, for example, if someone using AI to generate false narratives about someone, he has to be make accountable. Who is going to be accountable? Is the AI company or the guy who generates such content. So I think there are rules, but it's not clearly stated that for the AI. So even for Ethiopia, as well as I think most countries. So we need to have a clear rule, but that rule should not be like hinder creativity. It has to be carefully stated so that it will support the usage of AI ethically and punish those who don't use that. So that's my.
If I heard you correctly, the question was, what's our plan?
What are you going to do about making sure policymakers and regulators in Africa actually have a strategy for Africa?
Good. So first of all, I don't know if I'm such in the best position to answer that, because like you said, what we're going to do...
Even me, I'm not in what he's saying. I'm going to say it, yeah.
Because all we can do is just to request, plead. For example, I'm sure the policymakers would be saying this. Sometimes for example, I think Woody's documentary was fully funded by Woody, if that's correct. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure he must have pitched to the policymakers, I want to do this, for, the country, but because they've not, I don't know if they do not understand the value of content creation or social media and, whatever, the value of it. So it's on us. I don't know if it's our responsibility to educate the policymakers or maybe show them an example during the election how social media can be powerful. But then I think it is really their obligation to be deliberate about paying attention to content creation and understanding the value, for them and for the continent at large. Thank you.
You see his answer. It was my answer. We were discussing here, so he said what I was supposed to say.
Should I take that, or do you want an answer from him? We want an answer from him.
Yeah, when you say policy, what are you what are you on? Which policy?
Should I challenge him a bit? So you know how they decide whether you can travel across Africa without a visa, when they decide what you can trade within African continents, all of those things, those policies. How do you want to change them? How do you want to influence them?
You mean how do I want to influence people coming in a country with using your passport only? That's your question?
No, I want to, the presidents, the prime ministers, the ministers, the officials that you greet and meet everywhere you go. Yes. How do you want to influence them?
They should give us money. You see here, there's too many countries here. There's my brothers from Niger, Gabon, there's a lot of countries here. So when all of us go back to our countries, these guys, they need to see our value. Because most of the countries where influences come from, they're not really supported, Because support is not really, yes, yeah, I'll send you an invoice, yeah. They don't really support, support is not only following me. That's not enough. I'm already putting a country on the map. I need to feed myself and, the family. So you following and commenting, yeah, I see, but the ministers, whatever, yes, they need to pop out the cash. Yeah. I'm not saying to me, I'm just saying, we just came to Ethiopia, it will be, humbling if, content creators from Ethiopia, have been supported, because some of us, we had to fight, Baba. Hey. I answered again.
Yes, you did. I think you did, right? Is there any questions that I have missed before I wrap up this session?
No, there's no question.
now it would really segue into what we were having conversation about. I think the organizers have been speaking to you a lot, to almost all of you. Now that we have talked about your request would be support, and especially economic support from these policymakers and regulators, what should be the approach that they use so that they see your value, they understand the monetization value of the tools that you're using and the power of influence that you have in shaping how people think about things and really approach those perspectives that we want to change in the African continent as a narrative. So what kind of policies or what kind of support structures would you expect?
Yeah, I think I understand what Game Meta is driving at. You know, all our social media platforms are monetized. All social media platforms are monetized out in other continents. Brazil, America, you see their RPM, CPM very high, you know, as compared to Africa at large. You know, some African countries are not even monetized. They don't even know they can be independent creating content. You know, they depend on third-party endorsements as a content creator, and this is not their fault. So this is where the government comes in, because where I'm from, yes, we are monetized on YouTube, Facebook, and some other platforms, but the RPM, CPM are like extremely low, you know, and then these things are really, really not what we as creatives can directly influence. So it's the government, you know, that, you know, has to see to this, because regardless of how passionate you are as a creator, you kind of get discouraged when you cannot sustain yourself as a person, you know. So these are like very essential. And then, you know, that's exactly why you see some creators are left with no choice than to, you know, travel and, you know, go live outside their country, because it's a problem. It's a pandemic. Like the in-streams for creatives in Africa is so discouraging. I honestly do not know how it is in Ethiopia, but where I'm from, it's very discouraging. But I think I represent Africa at large. So, and I think it's a problem in Africa, not necessarily in our individual countries. You know, it's an African issue. You know, so I think we need to really draw this to the attention to the lawmakers. You know, they need to like pay attention to this and then see how they can fix this and make creatives independent. You know, that way you understand that your ideas can, you know, regenerate rather than depending on a third party for revenues and stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. Did you say lawmakers? You mean lawyers?
No. The government. Yeah.
All right.
The same people I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Those are the lawmakers.
Okay, there's I think last time is a few weeks back. I think, what am I? If I'm wrong, correct me. I think now the only country in Africa that can influencers can monetize on TikTok is Rwanda. Yeah, so that's already, you get where I'm going with this. You get me? It's the only country in Africa where you can monetize on TikTok. So already TikTokers in Rwanda, now they're gonna make money from their talent, you know. So with that being said, you know, only one country in Africa can monetize. Now it leads to the question, should we go to Rwanda? You get me? So even on YouTube, I don't know if it's YouTube or YouTube, there's certain countries, there's a lot of countries in Africa where content creators, they can't monetize on YouTube. So you either have to put an address that you know somebody who lives in a country that you can monetize. you use their location, the address, and then now you can monetize. You get me? So now the lawmakers, you're lying. Yeah, the main man. They need to, I don't know if they have to go to overseas to go get permission of our, TikTok is not from Africa, right? But, you know, it's about, how do I put this? Hey, you see English. I could speak French, but we don't know French, all of us. You see how there's a lot of influencers that I know in my country who've been doing content before I even came, before the king came. And they stopped doing content along the way. Reason being because of money. Obviously, it's always money. You know, because the only way you make money, if where you are, you can't monetize with your social medias, is getting, you know, tenders. I don't know if you call it tenders, or getting, if you want me to promote your business, then I charge you, then I do the video, then I upload it on my socials. But that thing on its own, it's not a long term. You know, businesses, they don't come for long terms. The max they come for is a year. But I'm probably stretching, it's like 6 months. So as content creators, we can't make money only by promoting businesses. We need to be able to, you know, make a living out of our followers. Imagine having 20 million and you are not making any cent out of that 20 million. Which means those followers, it's just, now you are living for likes, for comments. You get me? So it's about, you know, our lawmakers looking at these things. You know, because imagine having followers, and when, I'm not saying we need to live flashy. Imagine having followers and then you pass there, you just, anybody normal. You know, I'm not saying dress flashy. You know, we need to look into these things. We need to be able to use our socials to buy houses, buy cars, you know, buy glasses he's wearing. You get me? I answered again.
I think you did. I did. Are you guys okay in the room? Everybody okay in the room? Because I have one more question I have to ask them. As they were talking, I realized that a lot of content creators in Africa are working with local businesses, international businesses, to do promotions and give them brand recognitions. Are they paying you right? Does that space need to be regulated?
Because me, the guys who are paying me, they are watching, I can't say, they are paying, yeah.
So this question is going to compromise you.
I mean, listen, not every business is going to pay you your worth. You know, as a content creator, there's a line that people always tell us, people from probably our families, know your worth. You know, you are who you think you are. You get me? So not every company sees you of how you see you. You get me? So not every company is going to pop out your worth. You know, but now it goes to desperation. Now you have to take every deal because you can't make a living out of your socials. I answered again. Nice.
Okay, so I think putting a regulation to that might even
do they pay well?
Okay. Like you said, they might be watching, so you're doing a good job. Yeah. So, but what I'm thinking is putting a regulation to that. Before we think about putting any regulation to that, we have to sort out the in-stream first. You know, when a creative is independent, before you can even regulate anything, because it still falls back to the creative. If these people are like, oh, there are these regulations, oh, we cannot keep up, the creative become, you know, depressed, you know, because right now the reason why creatives are accepting just anything and not acknowledging their values, their worth, is because there is nothing else to fall back on. You know, we cannot depend solely on in-stream as he speaks. So that's, I think, why sometimes you see a person with 10 million, 20 million views just there, you know what I'm saying? So if that can be sorted, then we can now fall back to saying, yeah, now I can answer the question as it is. When you say, are they paying you your worth? You know what I'm saying? So for right now, our hands are tied because there is a problem that we need to solve before this problem. Thank you.
But just to, did you guys want to clap or should I proceed? This is just something else, né? But I'm hoping what I'm going to say is not going to inspire you to ask on top. You know, as content creators, né, this is just a brother advice of something that I haven't even done yet. When you get consistent for a certain period of time, you know there's always a new guy. I agree, you know. When you do comedy or you do content creation, there's a period where everybody's talking about you. Then there's going to be a period where not everyone is talking about you. It's not because you are dying or you are falling. Maybe you are falling. Maybe they don't find you funny, like where I come from. Just say, when you are popping, when you are already in everybody's eyes, I could already now they want to use you to promote their business. If they are paying you, just an advice, invest, because you never know what tomorrow holds. Tomorrow you will not be popping. You need something to back you up. I think that's the most important thing I've said today, besides breakfast.
I think you said a lot of important things, but we'll take that from you. I think with that, I will kind of try to summarize in maybe a sentence what stood out for me, at least, from this conversation. Number one, the social media or digital media platform have real power in influencing not just everyday lives, but policymakers and regulators. But for that to happen, the one key element is showing what you're worth. It doesn't matter what your content is, but you have to show your worth. Once you've done that, you can actually influence the shift that you want to do that. And along the way, you can use AI responsibly to enhance your creativity. I think that's the major takeaway for me from this discussion. Thank you very much, and I hope you have more takeaways from this. And welcome to the land of origins, and enjoy the rest of your stay.
Namasakanalo.
Thank you. Amasakanalo.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that was a very interesting conversation. Thank you, Lensa. Thank you, Samuel, Brian Jotter. Thank you, William Last. The conversation was very frank, very articulate. You had wonderful ideas. The ambassadors of Africa. Not just influencers, but I felt like you were professors. That was amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to let you know that if you need the live stream of this program, we're streaming this event live on the YouTube and Facebook page of Pulse of Africa. In addition, the YouTube page of Ethiopian News Agency. We'd like to quickly say thank you to all of our sponsors who brought us together for this beautiful conversation. Thank you to the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, to the Ministry of Tourism, to the Addis Ababa Mayor's Office. Thank you to Ethio Telecom, the Addis Ababa Tourism Commission. Thank you to Dashen Bank. Thank you to Safaricom Ethiopia, and thank you to the Ethiopian Airlines. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm thank you to our moderator, Elsa, to Samuel, to Brian, to William. That was incredible. Frank conversations to the point. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've been having a very long morning. It's time to have lunch. And therefore, we'd like to welcome you all to join us for lunch. It's going to be the same place we had lunch yesterday, downstairs on that other building. So enjoy your lunch. When we come back, we'll discuss how to brand Africa. We'll hear from big names like Hasset from Wodemaya, who's been receiving so many shout-outs this morning. And we'll also have another panel on how to translate Agenda 2063, the conversations of the bosses to the conversations of young people. Enjoy lunch. We'll see you exactly at 2 p.m., 1 hour. All right, let's go for lunch, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello and welcome once again, our esteemed viewers. You have been watching African Social Media Influencer Summit 2026, and it has been conducted at Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, an iconic place in Ethiopia, the diplomatic and political heartbeat of the continent. And this important summit has brought together more than 200 influencers from across Africa. And earlier on, you have been watching a panel discussion which was centered at artificial intelligence and content creators, the significance of artificial intelligence for content creators in helping them to produce more engaging contexts. And of course, a debate and the kind of discussion was also conducted on the, the negative sides of artificial intelligence in the content creation process. Gentlemen, let me come to you.
Yeah.
It was a very hot and meaningful discussion, I guess. And we will come back with this panel discussion later. But for now, I want both of you to reflect on the earlier speech made by the CEO of the AGA Tech Enterprise. As we know, this summit has been organized by AGA Tech Enterprise and Pulse of Africa, and the CEO of both organizations were delivering a speech before this panel discussion. And for example, the CEO of AGA Tech Enterprise, Gemeda Ulana, said this African Social Media Influencer Summit is of course the first in the continent, but it's not going to be the last. It's going to be continuous. And he promised that the African Social Media Award will be prepared for next year. So it's a groundbreaking moment for the continent Africa, isn't it? How do you see this initiative? The fact that the organizers of the summit are showing steadfast commitment to make the summit and the gathering continuous.
Yes, let me start with the first speaker, who is Gemeda Olana, AGA Tech Enterprise CEO. Well, he just said that it's powerful. I mean, so there is immense power in social media, and the influencers are, of course, ambassadors. They are the powerhouses, and of course, his enterprise, AGA Tech Enterprise, is just the one that serves as a bridge by organizing, just this ASMIS 2026 summit. Well, he also said that the recognition for influencers has become very much evident, not only, of course, these days, but as early as, some time ago. The influence of social media influencers has become evident to everyone. And as a result, AGA Tech Enterprise and Pulse of Africa came together to organize this summit. And this summit intends to enhance the capacity of social media influencers so that the power will serve a lot in changing the negative biases about Africa, the negative narrative regarding Africa, especially those targeted by the media platforms elsewhere. Okay, so ASMIS is said to be, a bridge between the influencers and the stakeholders. Of course, ASMIS comes in between the influencers and the large audience, and institutions are here, to play a big role. AGA Tech Enterprise, wants to incorporate efforts from institutions that support this initiative. The fact that, the knowledge and the skill and the capacity of social media influencers gets enhanced. And that's why, these influencers are invited to Addis Ababa, and as we can see, they are having, just this wonderful summit in Addis Ababa. In short, attention is given to social media influencers because the power of social media influencers has become, evident on a daily basis, and especially in recent days, their impact is very much clear and opposed to the the influence, coming from the mainstream media, such as television and radio. These days, social media platforms are ubiquitous. We find them everywhere. And of course, the actors, in this case, the social media influencers, need support from institutions, enterprises such as AGA, Tech Enterprise. And of course, the CEO mentioned that very well. And at the same time, I would like to mention that Saifa Derabe, the CEO of Pulse of Africa, has also said similar things, saying that the power of social media influencers is more evident than ever, and that Pulse of Africa wants to collaborate with these influencers to change the narrative of Africa for the better. Of course, Mr. Saifa mentioned that POA, of course, was established following the initiative taken by His Excellency Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, and within a short period of time, 30 African countries are watching us very much closely, and some kind of collaboration has already been established, as we know, with some African countries to enhance the effectiveness of Pulse of Africa. And let me say one thing. CEO Saifa mentioned, dichotomies, opposing dichotomies. For example, conflict and peace. He revealed the fact that Africa is not going to go away from the negative events that are existing in Africa. When we talk about peace, at the same time, we understand there is conflict, and Pulse of Africa, wants to face it, and so that ways need to be found to turn, just that conflict into peace. And he also mentioned about protection of women. We know that women are not treated properly in many African societies, and Pulse of Africa is against this handling of women by society. Now, this is just an example. There is, giving, some kind of, unity, for example. Unity is very much important for the African continent, and unfortunately, people are not very much united. We see, division amongst members of societies in the African continent, amongst, nations in Africa. And Pulse of Africa, just wants to handle all these things, all these matters, in a way that they can turn to the desirable one, which is, for example, unity. So all these have been, very well explained, eloquently communicated by the CEO of these institutions.
Well said comments. Of course, the CEO of Pulse of Africa, Saifa Derabe, elaborated on the initiative of Pulse of Africa and the aim of Pulse of Africa and the many initiatives that Pulse of Africa is pursuing. And like he said, he also mentioned dichotomies, and he said that Pulse of Africa will promote, for example, unity over division, peace over conflict. And this very much significant, I would say. For example, imagine 1.4 billion people of Africa become united. Who gonna beat Africa then? The unification of Africa is very much essential. And of course, our forefathers such as Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, and others were aspiring for a united Africa. But for so long, the unification of Africa has not been realized. And of course, unification for Africa is not a simple task. It needs investment. It needs political will of leaders. It needs dedication. For example, you can't bring unity through kind of gathering like this. You need to invest in infrastructure, for example. You need to connect Kenya with Ethiopia with road. You need to connect Nigeria with Ghana with railways, road and airways as well. So the unity of Africa can be revealed, can be realized through proper investment, through political will of leaders, and through the collaboration of all stakeholders such as investors, scholars, politicians, leaders, and every stakeholders. And CEO of Pulse of Africa Saif Darbe also said peace over conflict. Pulse of Africa will promote peace over conflict. What Africa is being starved of, hungered of these days is peace. I mean, of course, the continent Africa has made significant stride in terms of realizing peace and stability. You know, Africa is not one single entity. There are 54 countries within the continent, and if you see, many of countries of the continent are in peace and stability. Yeah, but those global media narratives of Africa is always peace and conflict. Like we said earlier on, John, you know, for example, the global media narratives of South Sudan was very much devoted to crisis, famine, and drought, and like that. But you told us that South Sudan, for example, has indigenous ways of resolving conflicts, indigenous wisdoms in terms of resolving conflicts. And, you know, I was very much surprised that South Sudan is, of course, one of the fastest economies in the world. It's recording and registering fast economic growth. And there are lots of positive stuffs in South Sudan, but we have never heard them, those kind of positive developments, achievements, success in Trump over those global media narratives. And the initiative of Pulse of Africa and the aim of Pulse of Africa is to reverse such negative stereotypes, which has been hampering development and democratization process of African countries. Noel, of course, the CEO of the organization Pulse of Africa, Saif Darbe, has made extensive but powerful, insightful speech. You know, what can you say about his speech?
Well, the CEO of Pulse of Africa have really delivered, you know, a remarkable remark, of which I was able to get some few points which are very significant to the influencers and to the social media influencers and the content creators. He acknowledged, you know, ASMIS as an important African gathering, you know, and then as well he reminded, you know, the influencers of the objective of Pulse of Africa to tell, you know, African stories by Africans. You know, Pulse of Africa is really, it's really driving Africa towards self-reliance, you know, in terms of sharing our own stories. And then another important thing he mentioned was using social media to educate and to unite and to develop, you know, our African communities, and not only for entertainment purpose, but also for education and for the unity of Africa. You know, the CEO mentioned as well that the influencers, the social media influencers are chosen, you know, they are actually chosen people, and they can really, you know, shape the narratives of Africa, because they really have a big number of audience, of which they will be able, you know, to easily, you know, disseminate the correct and accurate information, accurate stories about Africa. So the CEO as well, you know, appreciated, you know, the partners and the AI Institute for the deliberation of yesterday, how they visited the institute. So his remark is really to the point, and it's encouraging, my brother.
Yes. So the African Social Media Influencers Summit was kicked off yesterday with a visit of African social media influencers to different iconic places in Addis Ababa, the political and diplomatic heartbeat of the continent. And the African Social Media Influencers Summit 2026, ASMIS 2026, is still going on. And this morning we have heard the speech from the organizations, the speech by the CEO of Pulse of Africa, Saif Darbe, and the CEO of AGA Tech Enterprise, Gameda Ulana, and panel discussion was also conducted this morning. And in the afternoon, lots of programs are going to be conducted. But for now, let us invite you a documentary that show how distortion of Africa, how negative stereotypes, how incomplete and inaccurate portrayal of Africa is hurting Africa. I was very much surprised that, you know, Africa is losing more than 4.2 billion US dollar annually because of the wrong portrayal of Africa. How and why? Let us watch the video, and we're gonna be back after a few minutes.
Something powerful is already happening. Over 200 content creators sitting together, aligning, questioning,
deciding what Africa's digital future should actually look like.
Because this isn't just about content anymore.
It's about direction.
millions of followers and millions of eyes.
Now moving with shared purpose.
Stories are being shaped with intention.
Narratives are being clarified.
Agendas are being defined.
Because when Africa speaks in fragments,
it gets misunderstood.
But when it moves together,
it becomes undeniable.
What's happening here doesn't stay here. It reaches the world. This is the African Social Media Influencer Summit.
Severe humanitarian. 7,000 dead, 7 million displaced. This is a long and bloody conflict between rebels.
For decades, the world searched for Africa. It found the same headlines: war, disease, poverty, chaos. And over time, those images didn't just shape opinions. Rather, they shaped investments, they shaped interest rates, they shaped policy decisions, and the opportunities Africans could access. This is the prejudice premium. Not just only stereotypes, but also economic consequences. Research referenced by African media and policy groups estimated Africa's losses reach $4.2 billion each year due to distorted perceptions. When lenders and investors view the continent as unstable, even when fundamentals are improving, African countries don't just face tough markets. They face inflated borrowing costs. Higher risk becomes higher interest, and higher interest becomes less money for what people actually need. That money could have built systems, water, healthcare, education, but it gets redirected through the lens of fear. How does the prejudice spread so fast? Through a habit, cherry picking. When global outlets chase drama, African elections are often framed as chaos, not governance. Substantive stories, job creation, healthcare reform, economic policy get buried under the loudest crisis moments. And online, the digital mirror reflects that bias. If most African content historically came from non-Africans, the world learns Africa from someone else's camera, and the continent becomes an idea, not a reality. But the era of passive complaint is over, because Africa is not waiting for permission to be seen. With over 60% of the population under 25, the continent is young and digital first. Smartphones and high-speed internet have changed the rules. Now, creators can bypass legacy gatekeepers. They can show daily progress from tech hubs and innovation labs to architecture, mobility, and thriving communities. Africa is being documented in real time by Africans. The question is, who should do more to counter negative stereotypes about Africa? Not just governments, not just institutions, rather, digital creators and influencers, tech leaders, policymakers, and collaborative framework. Creators are the front line. Every post is an opportunity to replace a stereotype with evidence, not propaganda, but proof of progress. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be consistent. Because visibility builds trust. Trust builds confidence. Confidence builds capital and a continent. However, creators can't win alone. Tech is the infrastructure of discovery. Tech leaders must ensure African stories are searchable, recommended, and reachable in local feeds and global ones. That means supporting digital literacy, improving creator tools, and building platforms that elevate African content rather than bury it. Because if the world can't find the story, it will default to the old one. Then comes the shield, policymakers. Governments must treat the creator economy as a strategic sector, not a side hustle, but a driver of jobs, skills, entrepreneurship, and exports of culture and knowledge. A pro-innovation environment plus stronger governance fundamentals reduces the facts that sensationalize media exploits. When systems improve, the narrative improves, because reality improves. That's why the African Social Media Influencer Summit 2026 is more than just a conference. It is a community of practice, a place to keep collaborating long after the cameras fade. And importantly, the host country Ethiopia isn't just only a cultural and diplomatic hub of Africa. It can also be Africa's next digital innovation signal, where policy meets creators and technology meets ambition. The goal is simple: close the gap between the Africa the world imagines and the Africa that is actually building. The prejudice premium can only end when Africans fully own their stories. So it's time to put up or shut up. Capture, publicize, celebrate. Because when Africa's narrative becomes Africa's reality, everyone wins.
Something powerful is already happening. Over 200 content creators sitting together, aligning, questioning,
deciding what Africa's digital future should actually look like.
Because this isn't just about content anymore.
It's about direction.
millions of followers and millions of eyes.
Now moving with shared purpose.
Stories are being shaped with intention.
Narratives are being clarified.
Agendas are being defined.
Because when Africa speaks in fragments,
it gets misunderstood.
But when it moves together,
it becomes undeniable.
What's happening here doesn't stay here. It reaches the world. This is the African Social Media Influencer Summit.